Hey Fearminimalist, it's Sophia Lark of the Fearminimalist.com, providing trauma recovery tools to help women of color heal the mother wound. So if you ever wonder, will my inner child ever experience healing and wholeness and fullness, this video is going to share how you can recognize when your inner child is communicating unmet needs and what you can do to help her meet her needs. So keep watching. For the best trauma recovery tips, tools, and strategies, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you will always be in the know when I upload new content every single week. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today. I'm a survivor of mother wound trauma, a licensed professional counselor, a certified clinical trauma professional, helping women of color resolve their mother wound trauma and build resilience. So how do you know when your inner child is communicating to you that there is an unmet need here and it needs to be addressed? One of the first things that you may notice is that you feel violated by kindness. You feel violated by somebody's genuineness. And people might say, okay, well, how does that make sense? You know, somebody could give you a compliment, they can offer to help you with something, but you have this strong emotional and sometimes physiological reaction to that. And instead of going, no, I got it, or yes, that would be nice if you could help me, your mind immediately goes to, what's this person want? What are they trying to do to me? And the emotional reaction is so out of proportion to the compliment that precipitated it, that gave rise to it. One of the ways to determine if this is the inner child signaling that a need needs to be met, or if it's actually a threat, is to ask yourself, why was that emotional reaction so strong? Like, it seems like the person had a genuine intention. It sounds like it. But there's something about the body. There's a process called neuroception. It lies right under consciousness. And it's basically our body's ability to detect threat and danger. Now, one thing to note here is that with trauma, our nervous systems are highly sensitive. And so it has learned to lump everything together, whether it's a threat, a perceived threat, no threat. If the body senses that something is off here, it's going to immediately kick on that amygdala and it's going to put you in fight or flight mode. And until you're able to rule out whether or not there's a danger, you're going to stay on high alert. So trauma can make it really tricky to be able to determine whether or not this strong emotional reaction is something that you really need to take to heart, or if it's something you need to say, actually, it turns out that this isn't a threat. This was a really genuine comment or act of kindness that this person was sending my way, and I was wrong. But a lot of times I'll give a personal example. A lot of times, especially in the past, it still happens to me every once in a while. Like if I see a person that looks a little sketchy to me, of course, my guard goes up. And I have this physiological reaction. The person could be smiling at me, but I'm like, no, something's not right. Something's not right here. And if I have the ability to check it out, say, for instance, if this is a person I live by. In fact, this is an example of a neighbor that I had. And it was just like, something's not right about this person. And every time I would see the person, I would be highly triggered. My insides would just go crazy. And I'm just like, okay, I know some of it is trauma. My inner child is communicating something to me that there's a need for safety. There's a need for security. There's a need for honesty. I think this person seems like, there's some dishonesty going on. There might even be a safety issue. I don't know. But anyway, that's a need. And so, of course, I ended up ruling out some things, but there was still something that wasn't quite comfortable. So sometimes your inner child can be telling you something. There's something from the past that needs to be addressed, but then there's also something right in the present that is also not safe, or could be potentially dangerous that you need to pay attention to, but maybe you don't need to be so on edge. And so then you use your coping skills or whatever to deal with that. But sometimes it's a mix of both. So I share that story because I don't want people to think it's an either or type of thing all the time, because the inner child could be emerging to communicate a need, but then also the here and now person, which is your adult self, could also be sensing that something is amiss. So, asking yourself, why is this emotional reaction so strong? And then you sort of doing the investigative work to rule out whether there is a real or imagined threat. And then if it actually is a need, some old stuff from childhood that is emerging, your inner child is saying to you, you need to address this. Then you start saying, okay, what is the need? The need can be explored in many ways. Through journaling, it can be explored through therapy or through coaching or through just talking to a friend, just to gain that insight and that awareness about what the problem is so that you can be more attuned to taking care of your inner child. Another way that you can tell that your inner child is aroused, that your inner child has emerged out of this closet, is that you are stuck in resentment. Now, resentment primarily stems from a feeling of being used. It stems from language or words that are couched in the should and must architecture, where you're saying, people, they should be doing this, or I should be farther along, or they should be helping me, that kind of thing. Those kinds of words and that kind of language breeds resentment, because it alerts you to a need that is not being met, and you feel like people should be able to read your mind to see that that's what you need help with. And because people are not mind readers, and because you are not advocating for yourself and speaking up, you start saying should and must and all of these kinds of things, and you become resentful. Now, let's use an example here. Say that you and two of your friends are planning a getaway. Maybe you're going to, the Caribbean. And each of you has a role in planning parts of the trip. And so let's say one friend is going to plan, she's going to book the hotels. You're going to book the rental cars and the flights, and the other friend is going to book the dining and the events, the outings that you're going to go on when you get to your destination. And everybody's task is going fine, except yours. You're having trouble booking the flights, getting the tickets for the dates that you guys have agreed upon. The rental car place is being uncooperative, and you're just like, I give up. And instead of asking your friends for help, you haven't realized that the inner child has walked into the room. The wounded inner child has walked into the room, and she's transported you back to the past where your mother was not attuned to your needs. She didn't see that you were struggling. And if she did see that you were struggling, she sure as heck didn't put in the work to help you resolve the issue. She probably ignored you, or she invalidated you. She said things to say, oh, it's not that bad. I think you're just overreacting or whatever, and walk off. So now you're coming into this situation with that wounded inner child lens. And so instead of asking them for help, you start with the shoulds. They should be helping me. Can't they see that this ain't working for me? I mean, what are these people? Are they real friends? They see I'm not doing this. Don't they know I need help? Shouldn't they be helping me? And the inner child is raging. And instead of you recognizing that, wait, hold on. I'm an adult. Here, I got you. You tell your inner child, I got you. Here, I'll speak up for you. Hey guys, I need help. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not having success with these plane tickets. Can you help me? But instead of you recognizing that that's what you need to do, and that's what you're capable of doing, the inner child takes over. And so to resolve this, one of the things that you need to start doing is being honest with yourself. And saying, they don't even know I need help. Did I ask for help? Did I speak up? And the answer would be no. So start speaking up. Start being honest with yourself. And then it becomes you, when you feel that inner child rage, and you can say, I got you. You don't have to feel alone anymore. You don't have to be scared that nobody's going to come to your rescue. So I just want to check in before we get to our last sign and symptom. Have you ever had some of these things that we've talked about, feeling violated by kindness or stuck in resentment, and linked it to your inner child rising up and communicating a need? If so, let me know in the comments below, or let me know if there's something else that I haven't yet touched on, or that maybe I won't touch on in this video. Let me know in the comments below of some of the signs and symptoms that you've had. And the last thing that we'll talk about today in terms of recognizing when the inner child is communicating that there's an unmet need is that you fear authority figures, or you have extreme aggression toward authority figures. Firm, overbearing, micromanaging type of leaders or authority figures pose a huge problem to the wounded inner child, because there is a body memory, a felt experience where the body remembers a time in the past where authority figures used their power to bully and to frighten you into submission, to frighten you into obedience, into doing what they wanted you to do. My mother did it to me through religious, physical, emotional, psychological abuse. She narcissistically bullied me, gaslighted me, harassed me with scripture, with all of these distorted ways of seeing the world through her lens, through her values. And it was never, ever about what I wanted. It was about, you're going to do what I say. And if you don't like it, you might get beat with a broomstick, a belt buckle, a switch, an extension cord, or with my fist, if I ain't got nothing else. And so that's the body memory I hold. Not just what she said and how she said God told her to do it, because that's what the Bible says. But it was that paired with the physical beatings. And so when you have that kind of body memory, and that also that, just memory of people being bossy and authoritarian like that. It didn't matter if it was a military commander, a private sector boss, my spouse, my friends, whoever it was. If I sensed that bossiness, that element of authoritarianism in your approach to me, it depended on really how my nervous system was triggered in the moment. If I was triggered into fight, then I was either going to match your energy or I was going to surpass your energy. I was going to try to. So aggressive language, even you want to fight, we can go out into the parking lot, or wherever. We can just fight right here. It doesn't even matter. We ain't got to go nowhere. Or if I was triggered into flight, then it would be, okay, I don't ever want to see you again. I wouldn't say it. It was just, I would leave. I would drop off the face of the earth. You wouldn't know how to call me, contact me, do anything, because I was done with you. I have cut people off in my life to this day who are still not allowed to talk to me, because some of these people were really toxic. So they needed that element of, but there are still people that I'm working on seeing if we could open a relationship back up, because it was just like, we're not going to have this. But what I want to say is how you can tell that the inner child is communicating an unmet need is because this is most likely rooted in feeling disrespected, feeling invalidated, feeling unseen, feeling humiliated, because in the past, That's what happened. And my reaction to that, especially when I first got on my own as an adult, was just aggression, anger. Nobody is going to tell me what to do. But as I start to do the healing work, I realized my inner child is communicating to me that I feel disrespected. It's communicating to me that I feel humiliated. I feel unseen. I feel like I'm not important to this person for them to be treating me like that. And so one of the ways to start the healing process is to begin reparenting the inner child, begin affirming the inner child. Nobody's going to hurt you. I'm here for you. I'm not going to let anybody hurt you. You don't have to feel alone. I'm your advocate, and you're not going to have to worry about that again. Let's just take it one step at a time. I love you. I'm glad you're here. You're so important to me. I want you to live your best life, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make that happen for you. I'm here now. What you didn't have in the past is me. Because really, you are your inner child. You just now have an adult perspective that can help rescue you from that flashback. Even if somebody is rude to you, people are going to be rude. You can't avoid people being rude sometimes, but you don't have to let your inner child take over. And when those same kind of feelings arise, you can say, but you know what? You're okay. I got you. I'm not going to let anybody harm you. And that's really, it's rewiring the brain. Rewiring the brain, rewiring the body in response to those past emotional reactions. And you're creating new reactions where you can remain relaxed in the face of that perceived threat. So now you know some ways to recognize when your inner child is communicating an unmet need and what you can do to help her get her needs met. Now, if you're looking to go deeper, to explore further mother wound trauma, how to heal this trauma from my toxic relationship with my mother, and if you are wanting to really delve into a community that supports your cultural needs as a Black and brown woman and to achieve post-traumatic growth, be sure to join the Fearminimalist Success Community to start getting free training videos, recovery worksheets, and access to my Facebook Mother Wound Recovery support group that will help you to start getting ideas to learn more about all of the various things that can impact your ability to have good relationships with other people based on how your mother set that foundation. Guys, just click the link below to get access to the community and you'll be on your way. I want to also invite you to connect with me on Instagram at Fearminimalist and Facebook at Fearminimalist, where we can carry on the conversation in more depth about healing the mother wound. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked it, please be sure to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and drop a comment below to let me know what you took away from this video. I would be happy to get that feedback because it does inform the videos that I make and the ones that you obviously want to see. So let me know in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe, hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell so that you'll always be in the know when I upload new content every week. And remember, the sun is going to rise and shine bright tomorrow. The question is, are you going to rise with it and allow your best self to shine? I hope you do, and I'll see you next time. Bye.